Welcome to our Let's Talk Data podcast series. This is the podcast series that covers key solutions and technologies that power SAP's business technology platform. Today's episode is sponsored by Intel. Intel and SAP bring you faster access to more data in the cloud. If you haven't yet subscribed to our podcast series, we hope you'll subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. Today, the discussion is going to be very interesting. It's going to be focused on maximizing the value of your data in the mining industry. Our speakers today, we've brought in some excellent mining experts. These experts are from our partners Dell and Perfekt, as well as from SAP. Today, you will learn how Dell Technologies and their Australia-based partner Perfekt have teamed up to deliver AIMA, that's AIMA, and that stands for Asset Information Management and Analytics. AIMA is a solution for the mining industry mobile assets, and it also covers mineral processing plant assets. AIMA is based on SAP Data Intelligence, and it integrates streaming data from IoT equipment with ERP asset data, taking advantage of edge data processing, advanced analytics, and machine learning. For mining industry mobile assets, AIMA benefits include the reduction of downtime and incidents, which contributed to actually over 150 million cost of outages. Other benefits include reduced collisions, tire conditioning monitoring, improved safety, and reduction in unscheduled stoppages. For plant fixed asset productivity, AIMA benefits include the reduction of unscheduled stoppages, improved safety, timely replacement of critical components, and optimization of maintenance and shutdown schedules, resulting in reduced maintenance costs of 12%. The way we've organized this podcast is the first part is actually going to focus on mobile, so the mining industry mobile assets. The second part will focus on the mineral processing plant assets. Kevin O'Reilly from Dell Technologies will be leading our discussion today. So Kevin, please take it away.
So thank you, Ginger. Hello, everyone. I'm Kevin O'Reilly from Dell Technologies, and I lead the SAP Alliance in Asia Pacific, Japan, and Greater China. Today, we're going to discuss a jointly developed mining mobile asset management solution to monitor equipment performance, operator behavior, collision awareness, and time monitoring to maximize utilization, efficiency, and availability of these mission-critical assets. With me today, I have Dan Roitman, CTO from SAP and Dell partner Perfekt. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Kevin.
And also Dr. Nicoloudis, one of SAP's leading data insights experts and innovation evangelists here in APJ. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks, Kevin. Great to be here.
So first question, Dan, before we get into the details of the solution, can you give us a rundown of what mobile mining operations actually are?
Mobile plant in mining terms is a collection of moving assets that are used for open cut or underground mining. Open cut mining is a surface mining where rock or minerals from the earth, which is raw material, is extracted. An open air pit versus underground mining that is performed by tunneling underground to extract the raw material. Both types of mining employ large number of mobile assets such as haul trucks that can carry over 400 tons of raw material. There's drills, excavators, loaders, bulldozers, cranes, water trucks, and train trucks that might be pulling 8 trailers loaded with raw material. Basically anything that moves around the mine to extract or transport the raw material, and raw material is usually transported from extraction to the processing plant.
Okay, thanks, Dan. That really helps us understand the background. So what are the top 3 or 4 challenges that mobile assets face? Dan, we'll kick off with your answers first, please.
Sure. Open pit and underground mining, major challenges is it's an extremely harsh operating environment. Safety of the workers is the first priority for mining companies. Safety incidents, collisions, there's rocks, dust, underground gases, and in general, operating heavy equipment is dangerous, and mining companies are on a constant quest to improve safety for the workers. Also, all of the equipment in mobile plant operation requires major investment by the mining companies. There are hundreds of mobile assets that are deployed at each mine. Each haul truck might cost in the vicinity of $6 million, and mining companies are trying to optimize operation costs and improve efficiency, improve equipment utilization, and reduce downtime. So mining companies meet the challenges associated with having to extract and process greater quantities of ore material at a price that remains reasonable, and it's required to increase the productivity of operations through innovations. In current open pit mining operations, one of the highest costs lies in the loading and hauling stages. And during the loading and hauling stage, material is loaded by excavator or shovel into a truck, which have positioned themselves the best possible way to receive the material. The trucks then proceed to haul this material to either a processing plant, waste dump, or stockpile. Some of the challenges we worked on are collision awareness. It's a solution that is using a LiDAR sensor to detect an obstacle and to alert the driver and help to, especially poor visibility conditions and where there's observation difficulties due to sheer size of the equipment. Data from the LiDAR sensor installed on the truck and on the excavators. It's collected in real time, sometimes every few milliseconds. And Operation Center is also alerted if there's a near collision situation. And so historical data helps to analyze hotspots where most incidents happen. You basically can visualize it on the map, where these incidents occur, and help to make improvements to avoid safety incidents. So another example could be whole truck overloading, right? So due to varying density of the ore, whole trucks loaded by volume, right? And sometimes get overloaded, and that causes struts to fail, and that causes downtime. So collecting volume and weight of the raw material that's loaded into the tray of the truck can help optimize haulage and reduce downtime. Trained trucks, tire monitoring, right? So if the pressure or temperature of various tires pop and catch fire, by installing sensors, IoT sensors in each tire, early warning system can prevent incidents, right? So in some cases, costing companies hundreds of millions of dollars in downtime and safety. There are many more use cases, loading queue optimization, dust and gases level monitoring, conveyor belt rollers, rollers and sprockets for the excavators, overheating, operator behavior analysis, and many more. So there's plenty of scope for applying our technologies.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yeah.
Nick, your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think some critical points there from what Dan had mentioned, and it's around, how we can ensure operation security and also reducing incidents, right? Because every time there's an incident in a site, especially when these mobile assets, that stops production, it stops money flowing. And I think that's one of the key things where SAP is known for, especially around the asset management, being able to bridge, I guess, this operational technology, which Dan is talking about, with the information technology. So, what solutions are in place to help, port, these IoT sensors and then turn it and then merge it with, I guess, data in SAP to then provide those kind of insights and identify how much or how often we should be performing maintenance, or when we should be performing maintenance, or under certain conditions what causes more accidents or less accidents. So providing those insights. So it's really the combination, I guess, of these technologies and how we merge them together on the platform to be able to give those insights to companies moving forward.
Okay, thanks, Nick. So between you, Dan, and Nick, can you please describe the AIMA solution and how our companies have combined to deliver the solution? Dan, I'll ask you to go first again, please.
Sure, thanks again. Working together with Dell, Intel, SAP, and Perfekt, we help to address all those challenges that we mentioned earlier. Sensors installed on the mobile assets that are sending signals at certain intervals to the edge device. This edge device would filter out noisy data and in some cases perform edge analytics. It would communicate to the IoT gateway which is Internet of Things gateway, that would send all the live streams to the central repository or a data lake. That would be used for further analysis by the system and for real-time alerts, right? So you can analyze historical data, real-time data, and also this can be used for machine learning and AI for forecasts and predictions. And so solutions comprises Dell and Intel edge devices, Dell servers and storage, SAP data intelligence, and AI, utilizing Intel compute power, integration with SAP asset management and workflow, and Perfekt AIMA solution, which is asset information management and analytics, delivered to customers one integrated package. And so that helps to realize value of these use cases that we already implemented and to easily add new use cases. So that's the beauty of portability of the solution that can be expanded to additional use cases to what we talked earlier. The principles of collecting, processing, visualizing, and triggering actions is similar across the use cases. And so it can be applicable and can be flexible to a great degree. The solution can integrate with a variety of existing data sources. So sensors that are deployed in the field that can be processed, data generated by equipment from any vendor, as long as it's available for consumption, and can create new use cases in addition to the ones we already done. So that's pretty much an overview of the solution and main components, I would say.
Yeah, I think Dan's covered there some key points, Kevin, and I think also, obviously the great work that obviously Dell yourselves and Intel have provided, the whole idea of using HANA, the database, in-memory database, right, which provides that real fast time, being able to read information to then mix it together with other sources, through data intelligence, as Dan mentioned. It's about combining these sensors, and that's why I think together, as an offering, with all these companies in place, we have a sound platform to provide these intelligent insights from mobile assets. So then, we can help, reduce any, unplanned maintenance, and then kind of get a company, operating at its best.
Okay, thanks, Nick. And the technologies that are involved in providing this solution in particular, but also a platform. What are the key components, Dan, that make up the technology platform from a non-SAP perspective, I guess? And then Nick, if you can follow up with what are the key components from an artificial intelligence point of view that make this a great platform solution to not only address the use cases that we've talked about today, but as a platform moving forward as well. So I'll hand it back to you, Dan.
Well, from a non-SAP perspective, there's a hardware stack, which is the sensors, there's IoT gateways, edge devices which filter and process data. There's data lakes which store this data. Some visualization components help to put it all together, and of course there's major SAP components, integration with asset management. But then I'll let Nick, Dr. Nick, to describe it in more detail.
No, thanks, Dan. I mean, some key elements there. We've got things like our data intelligence platform, which is kind of a platform that sits obviously on top of the Dell hardware stack. And we're finding, especially in these remote operations, a lot of people wanting this kind of capability, maybe on premise or on site, just to reduce latency, right? Because as Dan mentioned, this whole idea of mobile assets moving around, decisions are made in split seconds, and so sometimes you need that kind of real-time capability. So the whole pitch there, which Dan was mentioning, edge technologies as well, edge routers, and I know SAP and Dell have kind of certified routers as well, which we can run certain things actually at the edge. And there's also the new introduction of 5G, right, where there's definitely some interesting technologies moving forward on how we could provide a whole 5G infrastructure in a mobile mining site. And we're still obviously in early days there, but to me that's an exciting area where we can combine. But data intelligence is some of the services, HANA to provide that real-time in-memory database. Depending on where things are, we might need to utilize things like Cloud Connector to connect different cloud environments, or if things going into data lakes into the cloud, such as sensors. Then to also things or solutions such as SAC, right, which is our SAP Analytics Cloud solution to help visualize some of these elements. So there's definitely a lot of things, and then obviously the work, the platform that Perfekt have, they've developed a platform that can sit on top of data intelligence and utilize data intelligence, and it's a solution which I think adds value to the different mobile asset mining, I guess, organizations that are out there.
Nick, I guess that there's a tendency to build solutions, to build use case based solutions rather than platform based solutions, and that there's some risk involved in having multiple solutions from multiple vendors that ultimately ends up being reasonably challenging to manage those environments. And I guess that's one of the values of having a platform-based approach.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think where customers, or where we see people spend the most amount of time, is trying to integrate disparate data sources, right? Things have different semantic values, and then having to kind of merge that and kind of link it up is very challenging. So, with the solution we're talking about here, Dan is aware, I guess, of the SAP standard data structures. So then trying to bring that in, through DI, he can map that easily. And see, that's kind of the key values here, is that, we want to make it as easy as possible for, our customers, and even our software development vendors, or our systems integrators such as Perfekt, to be able to map that real time, or that operational technology data into our information technology data, and make it as quickly as possible, so we can kind of minimize the amount of impact on the business, and then also minimize I guess a term that I'm hearing a lot, especially in the mining world, technical debt. Because what you mentioned there, Kevin, you see a lot of companies buy these third-party tools and solutions, and these companies might certify up to a certain level, or then don't connect to the latest versions of other software, and then they just have this technical debt, and it's so hard to move away that it's very challenging. So when you're dealing with SIs who develop on top of platforms, and they can extend their platforms, it kind of gives customers the flexibility to then choose the solutions that's right for their business, and then also extend, because as a platform we'll offer more capabilities. So if you want to create a mobile extension onto here, we've got a mobile SDK that sits on top of our platform. If you want more security capabilities, we've got security capabilities that sit in the platform. There's a list of other services, automation, there's a number of them which we could then utilize to kind of I guess improve operations in the field for our customers.
Yeah, I think the beauty of the solution is that you start with a valuable use case, and then you can add on as you go along, right? So you start growing your benefits, utilizing one platform, just increasing the benefits by adding additional functions. There's sensors from different vendors, there's different equipment from vendors. They all have their own formats and of data, and they have their own way of sending this data. But this platform allows to standardize this across the board and give companies a view across all the assets, how they're performing, where improvements can be made, give great insights across the board, rather than just kind of point solutions which sit in parallel. It allows to work in tandem.
So Dan, at the customers that we've implemented this solution at, can you give us some sort of feeling for the benefits that the customers achieved in terms of cost benefits and safety benefits, and et cetera, et cetera?
Look, I mean, we've seen some reduction in safety incidents and collisions, by at least 20% reductions of outages and safety incidents due to tires and train trucks by 10%, reducing stoppages due to overloading of haul trucks and struts failures. I mean, that translates to, for some operators, to hundreds of millions of dollars annually. And I mean, another benefit, data from variety of data sources from different vendors and equipment manufacturers and different brands. It can be brought together, correlated, and help to provide really valuable insights and bring further improvements to the business, right? So some improvements we covered, impossible even to forecast before you start, right? So but customers realize how much of an improvement it can make once it's in place.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Dan, Nick, thanks so much for your insights today on our joint mining mobile asset solution. That was an interesting discussion on mobile assets. Now let's discuss the jointly developed mining fixed asset solution that monitors mineral plant processing equipment to maximize the utilization and efficiency of those expensive and mission critical assets. With me today, I have Dan Roitman, CTO from SAP and Dell partner Perfekt. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Kevin. Great to be here.
And Dr. Nicoloudis, one of SAP's data insights experts and innovation evangelists here in APJ. Welcome, Nick.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Dan.
So the first question I wanted to ask, before we get into the details of the solution, Dan, can you give us a rundown of what a fixed plant is in mineral processing mining operations?
Fixed plant and mineral processing is referred in mining as it's a mining industrial installation. It's a plant that processes raw material from the mine extracted out of the ground in order to extract the minerals such as iron ore, copper, gold, etc. So you have rock and earth as a raw material gets transported from the open cut or underground mine to the processing plant where a series of mills and crushers and various processes of material separation to extract the mineral. And so there's a lot of heavy equipment that's involved in that process. So there's transfer chutes, conveyor belts, various types of crushers, jaw crushers, gyratory, cone crushers. There's various types of mills that can be used as, that can be as big as a 5-story building. Right? So all those are called mineral processing and fixed plant assets that need to be monitored and maintained. Raw material is processed in stages, like a production line, where you gradually grind it down to the reduced particle size to separate and extract the mineral from the raw material, rock or earth, such as iron ore, copper, gold, etc. So that's an overview of the process. I mean, there's much more to it, but in a nutshell, that's the principle.
Okay, thanks, Dan. That really helps understand the background. What are the top 3 or 4 challenges that a mineral processing plant actually faces? We'll go to you first, Dan, and then get your inputs, Nick.
Well, the major challenges for the mining company is how to extract the mineral resource efficiently and profitably. It's essential to do more with less, to recover more value from low-grade and difficult material while minimizing environmental impact and energy consumption. Mining companies invest hundreds of millions of dollars into mineral processing assets in terms of equipment involved, as well as processes that keep these assets operational and efficient. Once the plant is operational, it has to keep running as a production line with minimal outages, maximum safety, efficiency, and maximum possible tons per hour throughput. And so major challenges there are unscheduled outages. Right? So if some part of the equipment is wearing out faster than expected due to abrasiveness or hardness of the material, it can cause damage to the equipment, and the whole processing chain will have to stop. So that's resulting in additional production costs, delays, and sometimes safety incidents. The scheduled maintenance is done on periodic basis, right? So every 3 months. So it needs to be planned, and customers want to know which parts to replace, which ones can be done in the next scheduled maintenance shot. This helps to optimize maintenance costs, right? So avoiding replacing parts that are don't need replacing, and rather replacing those parts that are wearing as planned or faster to avoid unscheduled outages. So there's a huge cost in maintaining and keeping this whole operation up and running at optimal level. There's harsh operating environments, there's dust, noise, high temperatures, abrasive materials, continuous production cycle demands on reliability to minimize outages and safety incidents. Some of the challenges we worked on are monitoring protective line of wear. for example, right? So these are the liners that protect equipment from the abrasive materials and rocks crashing down on them, such as storage bins, transfer chutes. We have various types of crushers and mills. Sensors are installed in the protective tile, would measure the wear rate and help to predict remaining useful life of the protective tile, and then it needs to be replaced to avoid damage to the equipment. Right? So these are kind of examples of challenges that the mineral processing and fixed plant operators are facing. So.
And Nick, your thoughts?
No, I think Dan has covered, I think the key areas there and the whole idea of, the importance of making sure the assets are up and running, right? Because it's about reducing or keeping the, mine as operational functional as possible. And the examples that Dan gave, I have some also examples from my experience of being in the field at some of the large miners here in Australia. And the idea of an asset breaking. So one example I have is when I was visited this site, they had a railway which connected the mine site to the port. Now, if something happens to that train, that little incident alone costs the organisation $500,000 every half an hour, and the reason being, it's the cost of the supply chain, right? And that's why people use SAP, because it gives you that insight that, well, if this train isn't moving, the raw material to the port, that means that the ship is not getting filled. And if that means that ship isn't getting filled, then there's other ships outside the port which aren't coming in to then either, come and get filled. And the backlog is significant. So the whole idea is how we grab this information, how we grab this operational technology information, which Dan mentioned, and then how we can provide insights to minimize what we call these unplanned maintenance events, right? And what we want to do is be as effective as possible. So rather than having to, have an event like that occur and then costing the organisation, $500,000 every half an hour, we want to ensure that, as Dan mentioned, things aren't worn, parts are running as well as they can, and provide a maintenance plan or even provide some predictive insights to identify when we need to replace parts, and then using our technologies to be able to support that, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, in the next few questions.
So that's quite a list of challenges, and I'm interested to hear how the AIMA solution from Perfekt, Dell, and SAP combines to fix some of these issues or to address some of these issues. So Dan, let's start with you again. What is the AIMA solution, and how does it help address some of those challenges that we just talked about?
Sure. Thank you, Ken. Well, working together with Dell, Intel, SAP, and Perfekt, we help to address those challenges that mining companies face, and also helping to put in place a solution that can cope with future use cases and help to solve additional challenges, right? So normally they prioritize in the matter of importance, right? So you can kind of solve all of them. But normally the solution is basically the sensor installed on the mineral processing equipment and sending signals at certain intervals, right, to the edge devices. So edge devices would filter out noisy data and in some cases perform edge analytics. It would communicate to the IoT gateway that would send all the live streams to a central repository like a data lake that would be used for historical analysis or for real-time alert. Also for the future forecasts and predictions. So such as, premature wear, things like overheating, abrasive material throughput causing damage, and so on and so forth, right? So solution comprises Dell and Intel, with edge devices, Dell service and storage, SAP data intelligence, and AI utilizing Intel compute power, integration with SAP asset management and workflow, and Perfekt AIMA solution, which is asset information management and analytics. So it's delivered to customers one integrated package that helps to realize value of those use cases that we described, plus additional ones which can be implemented later, utilizing this platform. right? So remaining useful life and wear of the equipment can be visualized as a digital twin in real time, like on a 3D model of the equipment. These are kind of complex technological components that help to visualize and identify parts that are wearing out faster or slower than expected. And the solution can integrate with a variety of existing data sources, bringing a variety of them into one platform and giving an overview of what's happening across the board, right? So there's data from equipment from different vendors, and as long as it's available for consumption, you can easily create new use cases in addition to the ones already implemented. So that's an overview of solution and what it can do.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think to complement that, I think it's Dan's solution provides those insights, and it's great how it utilizes the platform, right? So it utilizes the data intelligence platform, the HANA database, on how then we can map, I guess, this sensor information which is captured in the field to then provide these insights. There's also some key things there around, providing visualizations. There's digital twin technology, and there's all these important areas to help, I guess, visualize and I guess make it easier for people to understand where are the operational impacts and how we can improve that moving forward.
So, Nick, I wanted to get your inputs on the platform approach that Dan just talked about. If you look at the industry, there are a lot of point solutions by individual vendors that address specific use cases. What's SAP's approach to dealing with that sort of thing, and how can the AIMA solution avoid having to have so many different solutions from different?
Yeah, for me, the value of, I guess, the AIMA solution on top of SAP, what Perfekt have done is they've utilized the power of the platform, right? The whole idea of using data intelligence to be able to quickly merge in multiple sources of data. And with data intelligence in there, we've got HANA, which is the real-time in-memory database to then be able to read through the records as quickly as possible. Where the value is how we merge that operational data with, I guess, the information technology data to then provide this quick insights, which Dan talked about. And to me, that's where it's about saving value, providing value for our customers. Now, we can also do, as Dan mentioned, that processing at the edge and support that on our gateways, the Dell SAP, supported gateways moving forward. But it's really about providing, as Dan mentioned, that planned outages, reducing any unplanned maintenance, and maximizing the way we operate the plants moving forward using, I guess, this SAP, Dell, Perfekt, and Intel solution, which we can help position to many of the other mining customers in this region.
Okay, great. So Dan, in the real world where we've implemented this solution, what benefits have our customers seen?
I mean, the major benefits are ability to reduce outages and cost of dealing with outages, delays and supply chain delays, like Dr. Nick mentioned. We can have a huge knock-on effect, right? So kind of almost a domino effect of that affects the whole process, right? So a single outage in the mineral processing plant can cost tens of millions of dollars per day in lost production time. And so optimized maintenance, so forecasting where of the equipment depending on throughput and varied abrasiveness of the material, correlated with IoT sensor data, which is basically data of how the equipment behaves actually, rather than how it was meant to behave, and behaves in reality could be different, right? So it helps to plan maintenance tasks. Parts and materials can be ordered in time, reducing the need in over-engineered maintenance and replacing parts that are performing better than expected. At the same time, identifying equipment and parts that are wearing out faster and can cause downtime. And so again, reduction in downtime and knock-on effect on the supply chain is quite significant.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Nick. I'm going to hand back to Ginger now, who will give you some details on how to find out some more about the AIMA solution and to contact Dell, SAP, and Perfekt regarding this. Again, gentlemen, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Dr. Nick.
Thanks, Kev. Thanks, Dan.
To learn more, click on the show notes. In the show notes, you'll see a link to the SAP Innovation Award for AMA. This was entered by Dell and Perfekt, and you'll also see a recent blog post that goes into more details. Now, if you have enjoyed this podcast, you may also enjoy episode 38 that focuses on hybrid data management. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next episode of the SAP Let's Talk Data podcast series.